a worn-out town, paint peeling off them old brick signs. Folks work hard, keep their heads down, trying to hold on to better times. Used to leave your door unlocked at night. Now everybody's got a camera on. Still got faith if we get it right, we can fix what's gone wrong. Ain't about talk, ain't about show. It's about the way we live, the way we know. Let's get back to dirt roads, back to porch lights. Never standing up when it ain't polite. Cold beer, hot true stars up above. A little less noise and a whole lot of love. Red, white, blue ain't a trend we chase. It's sweat on your shirt and calloused hands grace. If we're gonna stand, we don't stand apart. We gotta get back.
Well, good evening and welcome into Apex News Above the Noise. I am Kyle Thompson.
And I'm Craig Blanton.
Craig, we have a busy show. We're going to try to split about half and half with news and sports tonight. So,
can I do one little quick thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to talk about it beforehand. Lawrence, Massachusetts mayor, this is great. Brian DePina, 61, was arrested Friday morning after an investigation into alleged misuse of $1.5 million in economic injury disaster loans for small businesses. His lawyer, as they were walking to court, says he doesn't speak English.
Wait, back up. The mayor of the town?
The mayor of Lawrence, Massachusetts. His lawyer, DePina's lawyer, said he doesn't speak English. No comment. Said in the clip. I couldn't find the clip. I just saw that. I saw that just right before we started talking. Now.
Well, and speaking of which, we'll talk about both these stories tomorrow. But also in Minnesota, the immigrant of the year or whatever his name was, whatever his title was, he was the immigrant of the year named by Waltz, Tim Waltz from the state of Minnesota, was just arrested, and not by ICE, by the way. Criminal charges
for theft. Yeah. Same part of that Medicaid fraud they're doing up there. And this guy was the outstanding refugee honoree accused.
Outstanding refugee. Right.
Plus 2 sex trafficking rings.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's going to be great.
But at least he received an award. Tim Waltz, everything that guy touches is just trashed. Whatever.
And he was this close to being vice president, and then
very
away from it all.
Very, very close. Thank you, Big Blue Wall, for saving us from that nonsense. Right. Well, we're gonna have a little bit of different shape tonight. 3 news stories, 3 sports stories, a couple of side stories that we'll get to, and a lot more of the two of us talking, and a lot less of me going over what the news is necessarily. We start with a map. Today, the President of the United States posted an image on Truth Social showing the Strait of Hormuz labeled, quote, new U.S. territory. That's water that belongs to Iran and Oman. He also said today that there are no talks with Iran happening nor scheduled, which is one day after he said he'd opened a back channel with the Revolutionary Guard. Then to the aircraft carriers, because the story about the USS Abraham Lincoln got bigger over the weekend, and it's not really about one ship now. Then a quick Gaza update, because 2 weeks ago we gave you 3 specific things to watch, and all 3 have now been answered. Then a side topic about Florida, who has a major primary tonight. We're going to find out who's going to win the Republican governor nominee, but also there are every House member is running in Florida, and one long-term House member is probably on the way out after tonight. We'll talk about that. That's Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Maybe not. She's got
maybe not, but she is getting some flack about the area that she's running in. Then we're going to head to sports, and it's a good night for it because Mark Mitchell's written briefs were due today in Louisville with a ruling expected by Friday. Unfortunately, it was a bad day in the world of sport because Bill Rasmussen died. A lot of people who are watching this may not know who Bill Rasmussen is, but you watch what Bill Rasmussen created every single day if you were a sports fan. Yep. He is the man who got fired from a hockey job, had an idea in a traffic jam, and built ESPN. And the Lakers sale we told you about just last week and even more yesterday is now turned into a war overnight because Jeanie Buss says her own family can't legally sell it. So let's get above the noise. But before we get into tonight's show, welcome into Apex News, Above the Noise. We built this show so that you could have all the facts without all the spin. If you find anything in this show interesting or you want to check it out some other time, make sure you give us a subscribe and a like. Doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us out so that other people can find us in the algorithm. And if you know anybody else that needs to be above the noise, make sure you share it with them. Now, let's get into it. Craig, the first story tonight is, let's walk the escalation a little bit on this one because it happened in 4 days and each step went further than the last. Friday at a rally in New York, the president said, I just lost you, Craig. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Just lost your video for some reason.
Okay. Well, what is going on? I'm not touching nothing.
All right. Well, we'll see if it pops back up.
Let me get the look. It says that you can hear me though, right?
I can hear you.
Just the camera. Okay.
Unique. So it's definitely the camera. While you're working with that, I'll go ahead and give this story. Last week at a rally in New York on Friday, the president said, after we finish defeating Iran, which he said would happen pretty soon, he'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States. Monday, asked about it. He didn't walk it back. He said, I just think it's a great idea. We can control it. We can control it with a blockade. I like the idea of declaring it a territory. We could do that. And then today, Tuesday, he posted an image on Truth Social showing the Strait of Hormuz labeled U.S. territory. Not a statement, a map. Now, the geography hasn't changed since Friday. The strait is about 21 miles wide at its narrowest. The northern waters are Iranian. The southern waters are Omani. There is no unclaimed water in there or any international water in there to declare anything about. Craig, while you're fiddling with your...
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm fiddling, though.
All right. 4 days from a rally line to a published map. Once again, it sounds like we have a president negotiating in public, potentially, or it could be something else. And I think that's the thing that everybody's wanting to know at this point. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I had my headphones off, so just do it real quick again.
It's all right. 4 days from a rally line to a published map. Is that a president negotiating in public, or is that something else?
Just propaganda. He's just counteracting what Iran's doing. I think he does some of his crap just for fun. But you can't take over what's yours. I looked it up. There's not international waters there because it's only 21 miles wide, and international boundaries are 12, so they're overlapping. And the UN's got something about free transit. But does Iran ever listen to the UN? Of course not.
Of course not. Of course.
I'm gonna reboot just to see what the heck's going on. Okay.
All right. Now I'll just keep going with this as well.
Okay.
Here's the thing that happened alongside it. Monday, the president said his administration had established a direct back channel with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Revolutionary Guard denied it the same day. Then today, it said there are no talks or conversations occurring now or scheduled in the future with Iran, and that the naval blockade remains in full force and in effect. So in 24 hours, we went from a back channel exists to there are no talks scheduled or happening. Iran's deputy foreign minister, Kazim Garibabadi, gave what is probably the line of the day in response to the territory claim. He said the waterway cannot be seized with a tweet, an aircraft carrier, an executive order, or a campaign speech. Pretty telling. And Iran's foreign minister, Araghchi, said the United States is begging for talks. Don't necessarily believe that is actually true either. Meanwhile, Qatar's foreign ministry said today that the mediators are waiting on a bilateral deal between Iran and Oman before they'll return to pushing for broader U.S.-Iran talks. The one thing that is interesting about this is what Garibabadi line, it's going to travel. You can't seize a waterway with a tweet. When the other side is writing better copy than you are, what does it necessarily tell you about who thinks they're winning? Listen, I've always thought that President Trump lives in hyperbole land, that he likes to talk more than anybody else that I've ever seen, especially any type of politician. That's what you have right here. You have a politician who is just playing the game out in the open while we all know things are going on in the past. I don't think it's necessarily better copy that they wrote. I think essentially Trump is using this as a propaganda arm to essentially say, if you don't get in line, then the Strait of Hormuz is going to become a U.S. territory. Now, there are no international waters in the Strait of Hormuz. There are no international waters in the Persian Gulf area. And because of this, any statement like that, in fact, the United Nations has weighed in on this and said that there is no international waters and you can't just go in and claim that. The other option is that Trump could be essentially saying that when this war is over, that will be a concession, that the waterway will be a portion of United States territory. But we know that's not the case. We know that's not going to be the case. And the way we know that's not going to be the case is because the Strait of Hormuz is the only money-making endeavor that is still Iran is hanging on to at this point. Their oil refineries are about to be topped off. They cannot get their oil out over bridges that have been bombed all the way back to the Stone Age. They need the Strait of Hormuz, and they need to be making money off that. They're not going to give it up, and we know that's not going to happen. So, look who's here.
Hold on. Cord's tangled.
While Craig is untangling himself, the next question that we have to talk about is the fact that there was this back channel talk. There was this idea that one day a back channel exists, the next there are no talks scheduled. So which one do we have to believe at this point? Well, the reality is that there are talks going on all the time, whether either side wants to admit it or not. There's all sorts of talks, and if there were no talks going on, Oman, Pakistan, other countries who have been involved in those discussions would all say so.
Yeah, we'd be at war too.
And we
there were no talks.
Yeah, if there were no talks, we'd continuously be dropping bombs at this point until somebody came to the table. So then last night we told you that the president threatened to attack Oman if it gets in the way. Today the Associated Press reported why, and it changes the story quite a bit. According to officials, Trump threatened to bomb Oman because he is unhappy with Oman's deal with Iran. The threat wasn't about Oman obstructing American efforts. It was about Oman reaching an agreement that we didn't like.
Yep.
And remember what Qatar said today. The mediators are waiting on that Iran-Oman deal before a broader talk can resume. So the entire diplomatic process is now gatekept behind a country we just threatened to bomb over the very deal that the process is waiting for. Quite a tangled web we weave, if you will. Jasmine El-Gamal, a former Middle East advisor at the Pentagon, told CNN the threat is not a credible threat in any sense, which may be true. And if it's true, that's its own problem. Because a threat nobody believes is worse than no threat at all, if you will. Craig, we threatened to bomb the mediator because I've been in a few mediations where that would seem like a good idea because we didn't like the deal the mediator made, and the talks can't restart until that deal is done. How does anybody believe any of this at this point? And where do we go? What happens next?
I'm to the point that you can't believe anything. Am I orange on the camera on your side?
Yep, you are.
What the hell? Now I'm blue.
Better. Now you're blue.
You can't believe nothing coming out of this anymore. No sides agreeing. God dang. No sides agreeing with anything. And
you kind of have a nice Trump hue to you today, by the way.
Maybe that's what I'm looking on my iPad too. Maybe that's what it is. But you can't believe nothing anybody's saying anymore because it changes by the darn hour.
Yeah.
You know, how can you have faith in anything? How can you believe what anybody says? Now we got Oman involved. We've had Pakistan involved. We've had Saudi involved. We've had Jordan involved. It just ain't working.
It truly isn't at this point.
And so I'll say for the first time is Trump bit off more than he can chew. Because Iran is not going to fold.
I think that's entirely possible. I think that's entirely possible. Now the numbers, because that's what settles it. Global oil prices are at the highest level since July as hopes of a resolution fade. Gas here is in the $3 for your lowest grade.
60 cents.
But the average nationwide is over $4. On the water, a vessel was struck by an unknown projectile, according to the UK's Maritime Agency. And here's the cumulative figure. There have been 56 reports of damage to vessels in the Strait and nearby waters since this war began on February 28th. 56. One more detail worth having, the southern Omani route, the alternative corridor, everybody's been calling the safe lane, is actually the highest risk stretch of water out there. It accounts for 16 of the 18 projectile strike incidents reported since July 6th. And over a 24-hour stretch this weekend, maritime traffic showed no notable ship movements in the Strait of Hormuz at all, not reduced, none. Meanwhile, a Quinnipiac poll in late July found 60% of American voters oppose the U.S. military action against Iran. However, I will also say this. According to reports today, 80% of all traffic got out of the Strait of Hormuz yesterday, which is the highest amount of traffic that they have seen in the last 3 months. However, Craig, 56 damaged vessels, a 24-hour window with no ship movement over the weekend, none at all, and an oil at a high, higher than it's been since July. Where's the leverage actually sitting right now? And we're getting ready to, we are now 2 months away from, just about 2.5 months away from a very consequential election.
Right. Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah. If the concerning the election, if the Democrats got the House and the Senate, well, J.D. Vance will be your president by February 1 because they'll impeach him. They'll impeach him out of existence. But what I can't understand, I looked up the number of 56 vessels, 12 of them for Marshall Islands. Liberia's got 12. Panama's got 8. Malta's got 7. Do they get paid for flagging under those countries? Is that what it is? Because they're not Liberian ships or Marshall Island ships or anything like that.
Well,
we've had one attack. We've had one ship attacked.
Right.
They've had, all these other countries. I don't know if they're just flagged there for tax purposes or something.
Well, I think they're probably flagging based upon the fact that if they were to put a U.S. flag up or a British flag up, that.
Well, I mean, it's always like this, though. They're always flagged under another country. I wonder if it's like, all our corporations, they go to Delaware to get incorporated because the tax breaks.
Had that talk today, yep.
Yeah, that Joe Biden did. So I can't understand why these ships are getting attacked, and everybody's just letting them attack them, letting Iran attack the ships, letting Iran threaten their economy, and they don't do nothing about it. I just don't understand it at all.
Well, and here's the crazy thing about it is that so little of our energy and our products come through the Strait of Hormuz, but it's affecting us politically because it's affecting global trade with regard to oil, which is unfortunate. But the fact that now people are starting to see, why did we even get into this mess to begin with? And I think that's part of the problem messaging wise that this administration is going to have, because you have to figure out why am I doing the things that I'm doing, and why am I in this area? If Europe doesn't care about it and they get all their oil from there, why are we putting the effort into it when we shouldn't have to?
That's what I don't understand. It doesn't make a lick of sense on any front for us to be there protecting the world when the world continues to refuse to help us in any way at all. They just let those ships get bombed, droned, not intercontinental, but continental ballistic missiles, all that stuff. And they just don't seem to care. It's just like when Somalia had all the pirates. They expected, the world expected the U.S. Navy to stop the Somali pirates, which we did. We started blowing them out of the water. And
well, I'm
just at a loss why the other countries are letting Iran do this.
We joked about the Donroe Doctrine, which is very similar to the Monroe Doctrine.
I'm going to turn my other lights on. Hold on.
Yeah, which is why which is what James Monroe very famously, we're going to protect the interests of the United States and the Western Hemisphere. That is now what Donald Trump and the Donroe Doctrine is. Every day I'm more for this, essentially, because I'm tired of dealing with other people's problems, and it'd be an easy fix. You want the United States involved, you come over to the Western Hemisphere and we'll deal with it. But unless it affects us, we're out of it.
Right.
I think it's a fine foreign policy at this point.
Yeah. We get out of this Iran mess, and then we just wash our hands and we take care of our hemisphere and don't worry about the rest of the world. Let the rest of the world deal with themselves, because who was it that Trump asked to help the other day? It wasn't Oman. It was another country that we give. Oh, South Korea.
Yeah.
We got tens of thousands of soldiers there. South Korea says, nah, we don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
Trump goes, well, why are we paying billions and billions of dollars to protect you from North Korea?
Yeah.
I pull them every damn one.
And that's exactly what would happen. If we pull out, North Korea's running roughshod over them the next day.
Yeah, just go ahead, pull them out. Pull every one of them soldiers out. I mean, old Hank Johnson in Georgia thinks the island's going to, some of the islands over there are going to flip over anyway.
Yeah. Guam.
But why don't we just say, let's just not talk about it. Let's just do it. I don't know what South Korea, I don't know what they do for us. We buy their electronics and a couple of their cars.
Yeah.
But if nobody wants to step up and help us, why do we keep doing this? I don't understand it.
Totally agree. Well, speaking of what 6 months of this cost, the story about that aircraft carrier got a lot bigger over the weekend, and we're going to catch everybody up on it and actually talk a little bit more about it. A quick catch up for anybody who missed last night. There are reports of a serious morale crisis aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, and that is just what it is. It is a report at this point. During an extended deployment, including at least 6 separate incidents of sailors attempting to jump overboard. Families have gone to Congress. Democrats by the way,
Can you
6
stop
out
right
of
there for 1 second?
5,000. Yep.
You said 6 guys have attempted to jump overboard. There are no rails on an aircraft carrier.
Correct.
All you have to do is step off the side.
Yep.
That's all you have to do, and it's a 7-story drop.
Yep.
So I don't know about the attempted suicide.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Talking about it as an attempt now. Anyway, either way. Including 6 separate incidents of those sailors out of 5,000 on the ship. Families have gone to Congress. Democrats are demanding investigation. The CENTCOM commander flew out to the ship himself. The president said Friday that the Lincoln hasn't been deployed nearly long enough. Then Monday cited a retired admiral. He met at a gathering who told him ships stay out much longer than that. This weekend, Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who has also had his military background questioned many times, responded. Moore, who is a Democrat, and he's an Army veteran, a former captain who served in Afghanistan. His words on the president's dismissal of those families' concerns, well, it pisses me off, he said. And if you or someone you love is struggling tonight, 988 is there 24 hours a day. Make sure you dial it if you need it. And there are counselors on that line who can help you out. However,
yeah, that's the mental health line.
That's the mental health line. However, Craig, Wes Moore isn't a talking head. He is a veteran. He's a sitting governor, a very popular sitting governor.
You're a combat veteran too?
He claims to be a combat veteran.
Okay.
Leave it at that. He has used language governors don't usually use. Does that land differently than just a senator's press release at this point?
Well, I looked up military because I had a Navy boss on the USS Theodore Roosevelt, and I had an Army boss. And both of those guys served. One of them, I counted up today, 11, 9, and 6. 26 months of deployment out of 3 years. I had 2 of my neighbors that lived behind me that did 5 tours. One a male man, another than a female. They both did 5 tours during Afghan, Kosovo, all that stuff. They were in there a long time. The average military time is 12 months for active duty Army units, extended 15 months, some longer. We heard about during the troop buildup that some guys had to stay longer. I don't know. I'm not in the military. I've not, other than just experienced what my boss has told me. 6 months on a carrier, you're busy all the time, and every minute of your day is booked, according to my former naval boss.
It is.
And so they're there to help. I don't think other naval sailors will let a soldier, they won't let them just go away in misery and all that kind of. They'll offer help because, Lord, they're shoulder to shoulder on that carrier. There's 5,000 troops on that carrier. And
well, it's interesting that Wes Moore
used media is playing it up.
Yeah,
it's interesting. The first one to report it. That I can't find who was the first one to report it.
I think it was social media. I think social media was the fire buzz on this.
And the wives. I'm sure there's plenty of sailors that have children that they haven't seen. When they went to sea, their wives were pregnant. and it's got to be tough on the family. I've never
I
experienced it.
have no doubt. The thing that is interesting about this is that Wes Moore, claiming, this vitriol, this anger about these things. Wes Moore was found to have essentially said that he received a Bronze Star that he never received
Right.
for combat battle. He did serve.
A combat Bronze Star?
Yes.
There's two types of Bronze Stars.
Correct.
One is for service. You mean you could be a administrator in the military and you can get a Bronze Star for your service.
Yep.
Combat Bronze Stars are even better.
Well, investigative reports highlight a discrepancy regarding a Bronze Star claim on his past fellowship and job applications, which Moore and his office later attributed to an honest mistake or a misunderstanding over a recommendation before the medal was formally processed years later.
Yeah, it's stolen valor.
He did receive the Army Commendation Medal during his deployment.
Yeah.
But that, if you're going to come in with this righteous indignation about, how people are being treated, you got to check yourself on that too. If you're Wes.
Yeah. So, there's been a lot of elected officials that have been caught with stolen valor.
Yeah,
called out to the face on TV.
Yeah, here's the part that turns this from a story about one carrier into a story about the Navy. CNN reported this weekend that the Navy is increasingly asking its aircraft carrier groups to exceed recommended deployment links, not the Lincoln, the carrier groups, plural. Those recommended links aren't sentimental. They exist because there's maintenance math and crew math behind them. And when you exceed them, you're borrowing against both. 2 more data points from the last 4 days. On Saturday, the United States pulled its last aircraft carrier out of Asia. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would keep an eye on Taiwan at this point. And on Sunday, the president ordered the Pentagon to scale back joint military exercises with South Korea, based upon what you said. So while we're arguing about the morale of one crew in the Persian Gulf, the structural story is that this war has consumed enough naval capacity that we've emptied the Pacific at this point for the first time in probably 50 years.
Yeah.
And
are they going to put which carrier do you know which carrier they pulled out of the Pacific, out of the South China Sea area?
Was that the Ronald Reagan?
I have no clue. I didn't know about this.
I think it was the USS.
Is it going over to relieve one of the other two aircraft carrier groups?
Yep.
Okay.
Should take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now we're stretching the crews we have left past what the Navy itself says it is advisable.
Yeah, 6 months.
But again, listen, we're not at peacetime right now. I mean, we don't have a declared war, but we are trying to end one of the most brutal regimes in all of history.
Yeah.
And there has to be something said for that. I will also say this, you and I talked about this, that ship has ported several times. So it's not like they haven't touched ground at some point. So I hope that everybody is okay on there. There are 2 sides to this. We want what's best for everybody.
Military battle is huge.
Correct.
We both know people with PTSD.
We do. From military.
Yeah, I've got a friend I work with that has PTSD. I don't know if I've told you the story, but once when I had my boat docks on the Kentucky River, we went upstream with this soldier, and I said his name was, we called him Big Lou because he's like 6'6".
Yeah,
just pure muscle. And so he takes us up when they were launching the fireworks around the Capitol, or it was at Capitol View, either one. When I looked down at him one time, he was underneath the steering wheel, all folded up, shaking. He couldn't drive. I said, let's go back, Lou. I said, this is not worth it. He couldn't drive the pontoon back.
Yeah.
I had to get him out. I had to get this big man, I mean, 100% man, out because of that. And then I played softball with the guy that served, and we were at Chillicothe Park in Lexington, and somebody lit off some fireworks, and he played right center field. He laid on the ground. We had to call time and get him off the field.
Happens. It's unfortunate, but it does.
So it's real. I don't care what nobody says. PTSD is
totally
real.
Agree.
And 6 months out at sea and not seeing your family, and maybe there's no communication. I don't know, because, maybe Iran can track the communication to find the ship.
Yep.
It's got to be rough.
It is. My take on this is the president is probably factually right that carrier deployments have run longer than this. And I said that last night. What he's missing isn't the length. It's that those crews had an end date and this one doesn't. I think that's part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
if you're serving indefinitely, all of a sudden everything gets a little heavier because every day is a cycle at that point. You can ask Americans to do extraordinarily hard things, and we will do it, and we will accomplish great things over extraordinarily long periods.
Yeah.
Sailors have done 9 and 10-month deployments and come home just fine. What you cannot do, and what this administration cannot do at this point, is to make them think that it's indefinite. And
Right.
with no stated objective in a war their own Congress won't vote on, while the answer to their families is a retired admiral at a party.
Yeah.
And the carrier group story is the one we need to keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks. When you're exceeding your own recommended deployment links across the fleet and you've pulled your last carrier out of the Pacific, you have made a strategic choice, and nobody voted on that either.
Right.
And I
We
think
got
that's
11 carrier groups.
Yep.
Why can't we rotate them out? We got 11 of them.
It should concern us that the U.S. military and the Department of War do not believe that we can rotate them out. That's the bigger thing. Why?
Yeah.
What do you know that we don't know?
Yeah, screw the world. I mean, China's not going to. If China attacks Taiwan, so be it. There's nothing we can do about it. We're not going to go to war. You think going to war with Iran, a country of 92 million people, has upset Americans? Try going to a small island right off of China's coast that's closer to China than Cuba is to us over microchips. You think if it wasn't for microchips, we wouldn't even care about Taiwan?
Well, there's the billion-man army or whatever they say they have is something stupid.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. Their entire population is a farce. But we can get into that some other time with our tinfoil hat day when we do that.
Actual hat day.
Yeah, quick one before sports, because 2 weeks ago we gave you 3 things to watch on Gaza, and all 3 have now been answered. On August 3rd, we covered the announcement that Hamas had agreed to disarm, and we told you that what had actually been signed was an agreement to write a plan within 14 days. We gave you 3 markers. 1, does Israel say anything? 2, does the roadmap name a sequence? And 3, who verifies any of this stuff? Well, here's the scorecard. Israel spoke, and what it said was that it has serious security concerns and that its intelligence assessment is that Hamas is rebuilding its military rather than genuinely demilitarizing. And we knew that was a possibility, probably a likelihood.
Yeah.
The roadmap does name a sequence. The Associated Press verified a copy of this, but it has no calendar because every step is contingent on the one before it. And on verification, Israel objects to the participation of Qatar and Turkey, or Qatar and Turkey, depending on who's keeping score, and wants collected weapons destroyed rather than stored. That 14-day window closed around August 14th. Now Jared Kushner has been in the region, Egypt to be exact, Sunday with President El-Sisi and with Hamas leaders Israel on Monday with Netanyahu. And he says the United States expects Hamas to begin disarming soon. Craig, we said announcements are free and we'd call it historic when weapons get collected and verified. Kushner says it's going to happen soon. Has anything actually changed since August the 3rd, or is this just more talking?
I mean, you got to think about this. Egypt will not allow Palestinians to cross their border.
Nope.
Their walled, guarded border. Jordan won't allow Palestinians in their country via their guard station. So all that's left is Israel, from the river to the sea kind of stuff.
Yep.
So if their own, I can't say race, but their own religion, whatever they fight for over there, won't let Palestinian people in, why are we protecting them? Why are American citizens, why are Democrats supporting Gaza and Palestinians and Hamas?
Well, one of my favorite things ever was when the Freedom Flotilla or whatever it is landed in Egypt, and they packed them up and said, "Get out! We're not playing that game."
Israel don't mess around; they fight to win.
Yep, but even Egypt, that was what Egypt was doing.
Yeah,
Egypt was sending those guys back, and they're like, "We're not letting you in. We don't let Palestinians into our country, and we're not letting you come in here and tell us how to run our country either."
Just for news. They just wanted news clips.
Of course they did.
That's all they did. That's all it was. Yeah. And then it ended up being a controversy with Greta Thunberg and the captain of that group. Having relations. Yeah.
Well, after they've blown their ship, set their own ship on fire.
Yeah. But
anyway, harder question though. Israel strikes killed at least 11 in southern Lebanon Saturday. the deadliest day since the June ceasefire. Can a disarmament
11
process
what?
survive while the shooting continues?
11 civilians or 11 Hamas
Doesn't
soldiers?
say. It just says 11 people were killed.
If it's there's a ton of videos that you go out there and do any kind of searching at all on X or YouTube where Hamas soldiers are inside or under people's houses. I've got one. Maybe we can show it tomorrow. This guy's behind a blanket, got a blanket on top of him, just enough room for the mortar shell to launch, and you can't see where it's coming from, but it's coming from somebody's house. Kushner's over there doing his thing. I just don't think none of these people. It's hard to defeat an enemy when they don't care if they die.
I totally agree with that.
That's the thing. Americans, Germans, Japanese, they don't want to die in battle.
Yeah,
these folks over there, they don't care.
No, and I'm gonna hold the same standard that I held on August the 3rd, because I think it's important. Over the last few weeks, we've said this. But if you have weapons collected, counted, and verified by somebody with a clipboard, that's when it's real. Up until then, Kushner can say all that he wants, and by all means,
why not destroy?
We all hope, right? Well, add that to it,
like Australia did.
What I'll credit is that he's actually in the room, at least. Cairo on Sunday with Hamas, Jerusalem on Monday with Netanyahu. Shuttle diplomacy is very unglamorous, if you will. It's how these things actually get done. And again, this is just more proof that when sides are saying we're not talking, there's people talking. There's always people talking.
And he's away from his children.
Yeah, but the 14-day window to produce a precise roadmap, it's over. We knew that was bunk. We knew that was never going to mean anything.
They agreed to do another paper document. That they agreed to another. What's that amount to? That's stupid to even announce it.
I think at this point they're going to have to get a pulse of the American people, because we are exhausted.
I can't wait till Iran's over. We just turn Israel loose and let them take out Iran and take out Hezbollah and Hamas, and let's take care of our backyard and be done with it.
We'll save everybody back to the.
We'll save hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah,
by stopping taking care of the world.
Yeah. Speaking of which, just side topic. Did you see the lady last week from Africa? She was one of the African, their conglomerates of people that essentially said, we're happy that USAID shut down. Because we don't want American money, because there's ties. There's always a tie to it, and it always leads to corruption. We don't want it.
Yeah, there's numerous countries that are glad USAID is done.
Yeah.
And of course, the amazing thing about it, USAID goes down, Democratic contributions go bankrupt.
Yeah, crazy how that happens.
You don't see all those billions of dollars that were given to USAID. What African country did they help?
Yeah, well, none. It was all corrupt. It was going to the leaders of those countries.
Yep.
Quickly before we get into sports, quick side topic: Florida holds its primaries today.
Yep.
And there's a race down. I think they close theirs at 8 p.m. I think that's right.
I do not know.
7 or 8 p.m. There's a race down there worth understanding, because it's a preview of a fight that's going to happen in a lot of states coming up. And if it's not this time around, it's going to be in 2030 when there's other redistricting as well. We're going to start with the map. President Trump pushed Republican governors to redraw congressional districts to protect the House majority. In Florida, Governor DeSantis urged the legislature to rewrite the state's map, and they did, merging multiple Democratic districts and reducing the number of seats expected to stay blue. I think they went from 8 to 4, 7 to 4.
Yeah, probably.
Legal challenges are still pending, and one of the arguments is that Republicans deliberately timed the redraw to avoid judicial review before the election. Now, here's what it did to one member. Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been in Congress since 2004. She was actually the chair of the Democratic National Committee.
Noted Trump hater.
Noted
Trump hater.
2011 until she resigned in 2016 over the leaked emails about the Bernie Sanders campaign, where essentially they admitted, yeah, we rigged it. We rigged it.
But
Bernie Sanders was going to win. We rigged it.
Yeah, she didn't step down either.
Well, she resigned eventually.
No, she didn't resign from Congress.
No. She resigned from the Democratic National Committee.
Big deal.
Yeah.
She didn't resign from Congress.
Yeah, she did that in 2011, or when she resigned in 2016 over those leaked emails. She is 59, and she is seeking a 12th term. Not that age matters. We're just letting you know. And when that new map came out, her home district had been redrawn to pull in the more conservative Gulf Coast, which is represented by Anna Paulina Luna,
Yeah.
which would have made her reelection a genuine fight against a very popular Anna Paulina Luna. So she didn't run there. She crossed district lines and filed in a newly redrawn 20th district. Before we get into what that controversy is actually about, just the maneuver, her district got harder based upon the math. So she moved to an easier one. I will also say that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Lauren Boebert did the exact same thing in Colorado.
Yeah.
So,
but she won.
Yeah. Is that cynical, or is that just what any incumbent in either party does when the lines get
Not
changed?
illegal. It's not illegal. So you can't say nothing about it. It's legal or it's not. You know, in Kentucky, correct me if I'm wrong, you got to live in the district you're running.
Correct.
In Florida and many other states, I reckon you don't. You don't have to live where you can just pick a county and run. And she's sitting on $2.6 million, I think. She's running against 5 opponents. And one of our previous fun ones was Sheila McCormick. You can pronounce her middle name, that Cherfilus. Remember her?
Yeah.
One that stole all that money and she resigned.
Mm-hmm.
She's running again while under criminal indictment. She's one of 5 or 6 running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who like I said, she's a noted Trump hater. But I know where you're going to go next with this, so I'll stop right there.
Well, here's why this is a story at all. Florida's 20th is in Broward County. It is roughly 42% black, and it has sent black Democrats to Congress since 1992. So for 32 years.
Yeah.
The seat came open when Congressman Sheila Cherfilus McCormick.
There you go.
Resigned. Yeah. And she's running to get it back, even though she's under federal indictment. She's under federal indictment.
Right. Yeah.
She's still running. The nerve. So the field today was 5 Democrats, Wasserman Schultz, and 4 black candidates, and she was the only white candidate in the race. An Associated Press analysis found something that sharpens it considerably. She is the only white Democrat positioned to represent any of Florida's remaining districts with a black majority or plurality. One more mechanic that matters enormously: Florida has no primary runoff. A plurality wins. So in a 5-way race where 4 candidates are splitting a similar base of support, and one candidate is by far the best funded, which she is, the math favors. The math favors the one who isn't splitting anything. The former chairman of the Broward County Democratic Party said out loud that she should survive precisely because her challengers never united behind a single candidate. And I think that's very interesting and telling at this point. And that's the only way she may win. She's getting major blowback from the black community down there.
And what that person said, you just quoted, it's selection, not election. There's 5 people running. Will this be one of those where they split the vote up?
Yeah.
And amongst the 4 black candidates and the white girl wins? Who knows? Or will Debbie Wasserman Schultz finish 5th? Who knows?
She ain't finishing 5th, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, but so is there a district that's guaranteed to one race or another? What would happen if we had a guaranteed white district?
Well, that's always been the discussion with regard to the Voting Rights Act. And the other side of that argument is most districts are white majority, so you don't have that issue. But in this particular case, I think that they played directly into DeSantis's hands here, because Wasserman Schultz is going to she may win this election, this primary.
It'd be a shocker if she does.
And if she does win it, because of that plurality, you don't think the RNC and the congressional committee isn't going to harp on that?
Oh yeah,
and try to say she doesn't represent your interests. Let us be the ones to represent your interests.
What was a dude in Memphis that represented a 90% black district, and he was been white and been there for years. Of course, he quit. He hung it up when it was.
But he lost to a black Republican female.
Yeah. So
crazy how those things happen.
Yeah. So that's going to be the one I'm watching tonight, and the Dan Sullivan, but the other
Dan Sullivan versus Dan Sullivan.
Yeah. The other one is Jared, and she's an Israel supporter too,
mm-hmm.
but her number one opponent has shared many times that see, what's his name? See, Elijah Manley. He's raised over $1 million, criticizes her as a machine candidate, her support for Israel, APAC donations, corporate ties, and other things. So he's saying she's an old style Democrat. But Moskowitz is part of the reason he's getting targeted is also he's an Israel supporter. Again, why does the Democrat Party, why do they hate Israel?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. We've wondered that out loud.
And he's facing a DSA candidate named Oliver Larkin, self-described Democrat Socialist of America candidate.
By the way,
brings up APEC.
I'm pretty sure you don't know this. On the Republican side, in the 20th, 3 of their 4 candidates are African American.
No, I don't know who's in the 20th.
If an African American wins that seat as a Republican, you're going to have the exact same thing happen that you had in Tennessee.
Yep.
Even though it's 42% African American.
Yeah,
in that area,
by a white person, and now it's going to be represented by somebody of their own race, which is good.
It is fantastic.
Yeah. So, how do Democrats spin that?
It's going to be hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be damn near impossible.
Another story that we haven't talked about at all, over the weekend, actually a week ago, the race in Indiana, the Indiana Senate race, earlier this year, there was a primary. 5 of the 7 senators who would not redistrict, they were defeated.
Yep.
As incumbents, they lost. There were 2 then that won that were the incumbents. One of those only won by 3 votes.
Mm-hmm.
They challenged those, and he actually lost 6 votes. And now 6 of the 7 have lost because he is now lost by 3 votes. So,
and it'll probably end up in court.
Yeah, redistricting is going to happen in Indiana next time. So I can go ahead and tell you about that.
In Alaska, it's Dan S. Sullivan, which is the senator, and the other guy is Dan J. Sullivan Jr. So it's. And 69-year-old teacher, tell me he ain't running to confuse things. So
100% he is.
Can win.
100%. Well, for those of you who are in Alaska, it's only noon, so you've got time to figure it all out.
A long way to go. Yeah,
that's right. Well, let's get into some sports. You ready for that?
Yeah, I'm going to see some happy stuff.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some sports tonight. We have 3 sports stories that we're going to get into, touch on a couple other little ones as well. Written arguments in the case of Wells and others versus the NCAA were due to Judge Brian Edwards today in Jefferson Circuit Court in Louisville. I don't know if those were all filed yet. They technically have until midnight, the way the rules are. He heard about an hour of argument Friday, declined to grant immediate relief, and said that he expects to rule by the end of this week. There are 13 plaintiffs, headlined by Missouri's Mark Mitchell, the player Kentucky has been chasing for a few weeks now. Quick refresher on why this case exists at all, because it keeps getting reported wrong by a lot of people. Judge Sweeney's ruling in Colorado gave a 5th year of eligibility to players who were already in the transfer portal or wanted to go back to their own school.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Mitchell is not in the portal. He graduated. He's eligible, and NCAA rules still prohibit him from speaking with any coach other than his previous school. So his attorney, Ryan Downton, is arguing that the Colorado case is an antitrust case that doesn't reach the contract law claim he's raising here in Kentucky. And any injunction Edwards issues applies only in Kentucky. However, it would allow them to enter into Kentucky schools. And there are a number of players who want to, in different sports, who want to play at different universities in Kentucky. And it just so happens that Mark Mitchell is the big name that we are talking about today.
Yeah.
Craig, a ruling that only works inside one state's borders, decided by one judge on a Friday in August. Is that any way to run a national sport?
No,
how else could you run this into the ground if you were the NCAA?
Well, NCAA is good at this kind of stuff. They've lost control.
They're fantastic at it.
Yeah, they've lost 95% of control, and I think you're going to get into a minute some more stuff into this that's even better. But I'm ready to get it. I'm ready to move on. Lord, we sue the crap out of everybody for everything at any time. I mean, good Lord. See, the NCAA's wasting millions and millions of dollars for something that'll disappear in eight months. Just
the NCAA. To go over what we talked about yesterday, the NCAA did make 3 arguments Friday. First, this Kentucky court has no jurisdiction because not every plaintiff is a Kentucky resident. That's bunk. That's they have to make it, but it's a throwaway argument. And none of them have committed to a Kentucky school. Kentucky Sports Radio, who sent a couple of folks into Jack Pilgrim and those guys into the courtroom, called that a convenient theory for an association that operates in all 50 states. Yeah. Second, they said there's no emergency because these athletes can still enroll in college, which that's such a throwaway argument. Yeah. I mean, there's no emergency. Yeah, there's an emergency. Like, school started today or yesterday. Yeah. So, I mean, it's time to get things going. Sure, they just can't talk to a single coach to find out if they'd even make a team or a roster. So, listen, if Mark Mitchell wants to enroll at Kentucky, he can do that.
He's coming.
The problem is the other 12 guys are cross-country runners and swimmers and all these other things. They don't know if they'd qualify to play at Murray or Northern Kentucky or wherever. You haven't talked to a coach. So it's like it would actually be against the rules if they did it the other way around. So it is a problem. Third, and this is the real argument, the NCAA bylaws are not a contract, so there's no breach of contract claim. That one's a genuine legal question that the judge is going to have to make a decision, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he can't enter an injunction before that's heard.
Stop everything, right?
Yeah. The NCAA has made and lost that same argument in multiple other states and federal jurisdictions already, has to be noted.
And that judge will look at those things too, right?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
100%. And look at their ruling, their reasoning behind it as well.
Other judges' reasoning, right?
Yes. Okay. If Edwards, and now of course Kentucky has different laws. So if it matches based upon, like, say, an Ohio law or a North Carolina law, but remember, Ohio just stayed an injunction. So their Court of Appeals did, which kind of put the brakes on everybody, including Keyshawn Hall, who had signed onto that one, thought they had a victory. Now we're in the Court of Appeals. Court of Appeals is going to hear that relatively quickly, but it's going to put guys like Keyshawn Hall behind the 8 ball. Same thing could happen in Kentucky. Don't know if it will or not. If Edwards rules for the players, here's what Kentucky is chasing. Went to Duke for 2 years, went to Missouri, 18.3 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists last season on splits of 54.7 from the floor, 38.8 from 3, 66.9 from the line. That's no bueno. Craig.
Yeah, but I'll take 18 points a game over 6%.
He started all 33 games. He's listed at 6'9", but measured 6'7" and 3/4 at the G League Combine with a 7'2" wingspan. That's the difference maker right there.
Yeah.
And that's the number that matters for a team that finished 158th nationally in rebounding rate last season. Now, here's the real question, though. Should we even be chasing this guy? Because we could incur the wrath of the NCAA. And you guys who are out there,
explain that further, please.
Yeah. How in the world could we get in trouble with the NCAA? Well, it's interesting that you ask, because today, Jeff Goodman talked to a member of the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee on the field of 68, and he shared a thought about how he and his fellow committee members could handle this situation. Here's what the committee member told Jeff Goodman. The NCAA may not be able to threaten teams that use players deemed ineligible by the NCAA, but I can penalize them. And so can another committee members if they want to, whether it's by seating or even not including them in the field at all.
Yeah, they should be fired right now.
Can you even imagine? You think there's lawsuits right now. Can you imagine if the University of Kentucky goes 24-8, second in the SEC, and wins the SEC tournament, and the NCAA on Selection Sunday goes, nope, you don't get to play in our tournament.
Yeah.
Because you got Mark Mitchell.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they'd have the gonads to say that.
To a renowned basketball reporter.
To a guy who's going to report it. And then how are we as Kentucky fans not supposed to take that as some kind of like inherent blackmail of the University of Kentucky?
And Jeff Goodman likes gig in UK a lot.
I mean,
he loves it.
get him and Dan Dockich in a room, and
God.
I mean, he hates Kentucky.
Yeah.
But you can't say this.
Note the hit.
That's right. You can't go in and say, well, if you do this, then we're going to do this. That you can't do that. That is
they got to find
by the clear definition of blackmail or extortion, if you will.
This person needs to have their voting thing removed
immediately,
whatever they do,
and investigated.
What a baby.
This is all the more reason why the SEC and the Big Ten are working behind the scenes to figure out we're just going to leave. We're just going to leave. We're going to have academic requirements again. We're going to make sure we have student athletes, but we're going to have the best product on the field. And if you want to watch that, and they'll probably have NIL, their pay limits and everything else. If you want to watch the best league, we'll have the 40 best teams in this other conference.
And all the initial TV networks, they'll all jump aboard.
Of course they will.
Big Ten and SEC.
Of course they will.
Super League.
Yeah, and you'll add some. You'll probably grab a couple of ACC teams. You'll probably grab a Louisville and a Clemson, and those like you'll grab a Notre Dame. Because a lot of people don't know this. University of Louisville has one of the most valuable trademarks with their merchandising in the United States. So you got to grab the big boys. Louisville would probably be there. You'd probably grab Notre Dame. You'd probably grab some other schools. But absolutely, when you say something like, if you don't play by our rules, we're not going to let you play in our sandbox.
But not because somebody broke a rule.
No, we're just mad at you.
Right.
We'll punish you.
Yeah.
And if anybody didn't believe that the NCAA tournament was completely contrived to begin with, I love when people are like, isn't it great that Kentucky and Louisville are going to play in the NCAA tournament? That they did that on purpose.
That was rigged.
That's totally fixed. They're changing your seating. They're changing where you're playing just so they'll have those games. It's all about money.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, the hypocrisy of the NCAA being mad that kids are making money, total joke.
They love seeing Kentucky and North Carolina, Kentucky and Duke, because they know those are massive ratings. They can sell commercials. They can make more money. Whatever they do with it, I don't know. But those seedings are rigged in the round of 32 and round of 16. They're rigged bigger than crap.
I think my biggest
problem
now,
UK and Duke are in the same bracket in the preseason NCAA tournament. Duke's a 1 and Kentucky's a 4. I am seeing a lot of water coming out of the pool. Uh-oh. Shit, I forgot to turn the water off. Let me call Teresa real quick. Sorry for the cuss word.
Well, while you're talking about that, I will go ahead and lead into
I forgot,
that's all right. From a courtroom in Louisville to a loss the whole sports world is feeling tonight, because the man who made it possible for you to watch any of this died today. Bill Rasmussen died today at 93 from the effects of Parkinson's disease.
I forgot to turn the water hose off.
If that name doesn't mean anything to you, here's the shortest version. Every single thing about how you watch sports, the highlights, the scores crawling across the bottom of the screen, the fact that a game is on somewhere at 3 a.m, came from an idea that a man had after he got fired. Memorial Day weekend, 1978, Rasmussen was the communications director for the New England Whalers of the World Hockey Association. That team missed the playoffs, and he and most of the front office were let go. He was 45 years old with a family. The famous version of what happened next is that he and his 22-year-old son, Scott, were stuck in a traffic jam on Interstate 84 in a unair-conditioned Mazda, driving to his daughter's Sweet 16 birthday party. And somewhere in that traffic, he said out loud that somebody ought to put sports on television 24 hours a day.
What a great idea.
At the time, fewer than 20% of American homes even had cable, Craig. This is a man who got fired at 45. 14 months later, he launched a network that changed an entire industry, changed the world. You could say it changed sports industry. It changed the world.
He was
made icons.
He was a sports Ted Turner.
Yep. And remember, they played the first couple rounds of the NCAA tournament in the early 80s, which made the NCAA tournament what it is today.
Right.
Because he was an innovator like that, and he will be missed. He incorporated it on July 14th, 1978, originally as entertainment and sports programming. He did it with his son, Scott, and 43-year-old eye doctor and insurance agent named Ed Egan. He funded the early work in part on a $9,000 credit card advance. Can you imagine?
That's amazing.
And I'm sure it was at 30% interest at that point.
Yeah, and I was probably 20 or so when
Yep.
ESPN started. I remember watching it when I was on third shift. Sports Center was the thing.
And for those of you who always wonder, why are they in Bristol, Connecticut? Well, it's because he paid $18,000 for the first acre of land in Bristol, Connecticut. And his own description of that property was, well, it was a dump. He said it quite plainly, an actual dump, a reclamation area. And at 7 p.m. on September 7th, 1979, 14 months after the traffic jam, ESPN went on the air. What he built inside it is the part people forget, Sports Center, around-the-clock programming. And in the spring of 1980, the thing that actually made the network wall-to-wall coverage of the early rounds of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, which nobody else wanted, and which turned into March Madness.
Or the NBA,
Yep. If you love the first 2 days of that tournament, which I know all of you do because I know where you are during that work week, everybody in this state absolutely does. You're enjoying something Bill Rasmussen decided was worth televising and worth watching. Craig, the early rounds of the NCAA tournament were considered worthless television. Final Four or nothing. Which NBC covered at the time. He put them on before CBS took it over eventually. He put them on because he had airtime to fill. Is that the single most valuable accident in sports broadcasting history, or just
was it an accident?
Well, there you go.
You know, Ted Turner took a local cable channel in Chicago or Atlanta and made it national.
Yep.
And then he got the Turner network of channels. So, I mean, these guys are visionaries just like Elon Musk is today. Same thing with the guy that did the Weather Channel, that the Weather Channel fired from him. Same kind of thing. These guys were visionaries, and their product is what dominates TV today, especially ESPN.
Here's the part of the story. It's worth billions, obviously. Here's the part that should stay with people. Just before the financing closed, Getty raised its own ownership stake from the agreed 80% to 85%, further diluting all the founders of ESPN. Rasmussen was named chairman in July of 79 and was succeeded as president by Chet Simmons, who came over from NBC Sports. By 1984, ABC had acquired ESPN when Texaco sold its 72%. As one account of the founding put it, Bill and Scott Rasmussen walked out of the company they created with nearly nothing. Today, ESPN is 72% owned by Disney, 18% by Hearst, 10% by the NFL, and employs about 9,500 people. USA Today called him the father of cable sports. Sports Illustrated named him one of 40 people who most changed sports in 40 years. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2014, went public in 2019, moved to Seattle to live with his daughter, Lynn, a registered nurse, and spent his last years telling people that a diagnosis is not the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
His line, "Life is not over, it's just the beginning of a new chapter." ESPN's chairman said today that none of them would be there if it hadn't been for Bill's passion for sports. He essentially invented the thing and walked away with almost nothing, while other people have made billions on this.
Yeah, he didn't sell his stock when he should have been selling his stock.
Correct. Is this an American tragedy, or is that just what happens when founders who need money before they have leverage do?
It's American tragedy. It's disrespectful. His business advisors, whoever they were, should have told him to sell some stock over the years.
Yep.
To take care of his family, take care of himself. But you see it all the time. The guys that are founders of something, they get kicked out and they're penniless. And I had forgot about him leaving ESPN nearly broke.
Yep.
After they're signing NBA contracts in the double-digit billions, I think now.
Yeah.
And he got screwed, but it's happened so many times you can remember a lot of them.
Chris Berman, who is the very famous sports announcer, Boomer said that Bill, he was hired just weeks after the launch of ESPN.
Wasn't he the first hire?
He was their first major hire. Said Bill was our George Washington and a good friend. To them, it was revolutionary. And the George Washington comparison from Berman, that's big because Chris Berman has been in this atmosphere for almost 50 years. What can we take from the life of Bill Rasmussen and what he did for sports? You and I are big sports junkies. What do we owe to Bill Rasmussen?
I couldn't even come close to guessing how many hours of ESPN I've watched.
Not just today. just
Yeah,
in general.
right. Yeah, this morning, first thing I flip on every morning is ESPN, and he changed the country. He changed sport, absolutely every sport, because they would play horseshoes.
Yep.
At night. They would play badminton, just to fill time throughout the year. And now ESPN has lost its soul. They're political. They fire their best broadcasters. Every time their broadcaster gets famous, he's fun to listen to.
Yep.
They get rid of him. And they've done a round of firings several times this year. And I don't understand. It's not – I like watching the broadcast. Sports Center is a shell of itself, because before they would do 15 minutes of baseball, 15 minutes football, 15 minutes college basketball, something like that. Now they intermix them all in. I do not like soccer. They ram soccer down your throat. The top 10 plays.
You got to get with it, man.
Yeah, top 10 plays, 2 or 3 of them are always soccer. Yeah. But nobody watches soccer except during the World Cup.
Except for a billion people across the world.
But ESPN's in America.
We're American.
America. So
well, let me say this. Before Bill Rasmussen, if you lived in Frankfurt or if you lived anywhere in Kentucky and you wanted to watch a game, you watched whatever the 3 major networks decided was worth showing you. There were plenty of times growing up, and even in college and law school, where if I wanted to watch a Kentucky basketball game, I had to hope that they were being picked up nationally. It's the only way that you could watch it. And there were plenty of games you listen, whether you were listening on the radio or wherever,
listen to Cincinnati Reds on the radio,
or listen to Kaywood Ledford when he would make his calls. But if your team wasn't on, your team wasn't on. You didn't see it. What he built meant that a kid in a small town in Frankfurt today can watch every single Kentucky Wildcat basketball and football game on TV. In fact, there was a game a couple years ago, an exhibition game that wasn't on TV. I thought that the entire state was going to lose their minds.
Yeah, because it wasn't televised.
We're so used to it now.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
And ESPN, there's not a sport in America that ESPN won't turn into a professional sport.
That's correct.
Two that I've noticed this year, could have been there all along. I don't know. Women's professional softball and professional pickleball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women's softball is fun to watch. Pickleball, I don't understand, but there ain't nothing an American won't turn into a professional sport.
Oh, I agree.
And
I love it.
Play it.
Now they have the Ocho, that ESPN Ocho, where they play all sorts of
joke in a movie for a while.
It was a joke in a movie and turned around from dodgeball. Turned around into becoming something big.
That's what it was, yeah.
But when we were kids, if you lived in Los Angeles or New York, you could see your team play because they were always on TV. But if you wanted to watch the Cincinnati Reds, or if you wanted to watch the University of Kentucky basketball team, or the football team because they weren't very good back then, you had to hope that they were on TV. Now they are on TV, and it's because of guys like Bill Rasmussen specifically. Every conversation any of us has ever had about a game we attended traces back to a guy who got fired from a hockey job, just quite honestly. And he has changed the way sports has become entertainment, not the political aspect of it, but he monetized what we wanted sports to be, which was true entertainment. And he stayed gracious about it his whole life. He spent his last decade going around the telling people about Parkinson's in his life before it was over. 93 years. Did a good job. Rest easy, Bill.
And I've probably watched 4 hours a day.
Yeah. It's always in the background.
Yeah.
It's always in the studio. It's always on.
The first thing I check in on in TV in the morning and the website.
You wouldn't have NFL Network. You wouldn't have MLB Network. You wouldn't have NBA TV. You wouldn't have any of those because sports had never been monetized.
Yeah, the SEC channel, the ACC channel. So you can pick up, even though Louisville's in the ACC, you can pick up some Louisville games on the ACC channel. So, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Life well lived, and we're thankful for it. Thanks, Bill.
Long life.
Yep. We told you last week, and then we told you yesterday that the Lakers had been sold. Mark Walter selling his majority stake to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger at a $12.5 billion valuation.
He's under federal investigation.
He's under federal investigation. About 65% of the team. That part still stands. What happened yesterday, after we got off the air, no sooner had I made it to the couch after eating,
minutes, yeah,
and I texted you and said, oh boy. Monday afternoon, a statement went out attributed to the Buss family. Their words, we have decided as a family to sell the remaining Buss family trust shares to the Bob Iger group as part of the ongoing transaction. We love the Lakers, Laker fans, and will continue to support Los Angeles, but it's time to use this opportunity to move on and exit gracefully while we still can. That remaining stake is about 17.8%. Selling it would take...
It's a key number.
It is a key number. Selling it would take Iger and Kushner to about 83% of the franchise, and it would end 57 years of Buss family involvement in the Los Angeles Lakers. And then a few hours later, Jeanie Buss's attorney sent a letter, and it turns out the family had not decided anything at all at this point.
Well, not the entire family.
Not the entire family.
She's the only one that disagreed.
Well, we're going to get into that because I think there's some people who think that they haven't been heard on this. But Jeanie Buss's attorney, a man by the name of Adam Streisand, I don't know the relation if it's Barb's son or not.
Yeah.
He sent a letter to his letter to 3 law firms representing her 5 siblings. And here's the core of it. No sale of the trust's 17.8% ownership interest in the Los Angeles Lakers can be effectuated without approval by the current co-trustees. That's Jeanie, Janie, and Joey Buss. Not all 6 of them, but 3 of them. Any such vote, he wrote, would be and is void. And then the hammer, any attempt by the co-trustees to do otherwise and any attempt to aid or abet the co-trustees as such would constitute a breach of trust, breach of fiduciary duty, and be in contempt of court, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you believe that there's already a court proceeding that is dealing with that trust. Yeah. He closed by demanding that the siblings' lawyers publicly state that Jeanie Buss is the controlling owner and take no action on what he called this supposed vote. He also went after ESPN directly, saying Shams falsely reported the vote and accusing 2 of her brothers, Joey and Jesse, of leaking what he called false, defamatory, and pernicious information.
What a family.
To that reporter. We should say clearly that's her lawyer's accusations. Lawyers tend to be a little hyperbolic when they say things. I can say that because I am one. Right. ESPN has not retracted anything as of this very moment. Neither has Shams, and the siblings' side say a tag-along provision from last year's sale gives them the right to sell alongside Walter.
Well, and the thing, her main thing, I believe, is, that 17.8%, you have to have, and Mark Cuban played this too, you got to have 15% ownership to be an NBA governor.
Correct.
She doesn't want to give that up. Just Mark Cuban didn't want to give it up, so he kept it. Plus, he's trying to buy the team, the Dallas Mavericks, back now. But I think that's what it is. You got the second most storied franchise in all of NBA history, and she likes being on the board of governors. She likes being out in front of it, and she was raised on the team. She loves the team.
It's hard to give it up.
It's
your whole life.
She doesn't want to give it up, and her family wants to move on. Maybe she could buy them out. She's got to be loaded. Couldn't she buy her siblings?
I don't know if she's still got that kind of cash.
Buy her siblings out?
What I think happened is they
saw that dude paid $10 billion.
Yeah, they saw $12.5 billion being paid, and they thought, we're about to become billionaires.
Well, they should have when they sold it in the first to that dude that's under federal investigation.
Right.
They should have become billionaires then.
Yeah.
And now the remaining shares would probably throw another $1 billion to each one of them. Maybe. I don't know if it'd be that much, but it'd be hundreds of millions.
It would be hundreds of millions. I mean, if you're talking about, they got 65% for $12 billion, that's about $2 billion for every 10% that they have. So that puts you in the 2.8 billion range.
I don't think it's money with her though.
No, but
I think it's the love.
I think it might be money for the siblings though.
Right, but I think it's the love of the team.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
I think she was her daddy's favorite. That's why he put her in charge.
Yeah,
and she loves the team.
Well, remember when Mark Walter bought the company, she remained as president, and that was important.
Streisand deal.
Yep. Streisand points further back to a court order from 2017 designating her the controlling owner absent some further order modifying the trust. Bob Iger, for his part, told the California Post he intended to honor the agreement keeping her as governor, then added 5 words that are doing an enormous amount of work. If something changes, then it changes.
Yeah, because you still can't beat the NBA rules. If she's got less than 15%, she can't be governor. If he makes her governor, it don't matter.
The other thing is important. We talk about the Board of Governors. The NBA Board of Governors has to approve any of this, and it doesn't meet until September 15th and 16th in New York. That gives the family about a month to slug this out. I have no doubt there will probably be court filings in there, or at least filings in the previous trust matters.
I just hate the families go through this, that they split up, and they split up over money. They'll never talk to each other again. All that kind of. But it just stinks.
Well, and the family history is the part that explains a lot of it. Jerry Buss bought the Lakers in 1979. 6 children: Jeanie, Jim, Johnny, Jeanie, Joey, and Jesse. That's annoying. Shouldn't do that.
Yeah, and she fired 2 of her brothers herself.
Yeah, he did. I mean, when he died in 2013, Jeanie became governor. In 2017, she fired her brother Jim from his job running basketball operations, and a week later sued her brothers amid an attempt by Jim and Johnny to remove her as controlling owner. That's the fight that produced the court order she's relying on now. Then last November, 3 weeks after the Walter sale closed, Jim, Johnny, and Jeanie, Joey, and Jesse were all fired from their jobs within the team. Jeanie was 62 and near retirement. She asked if she could resign instead. She told ESPN she felt disappointed and disrespected, like a crumpled up piece of paper. And now you understand why they don't care to sell the Lakers at this point. I mean, it's a stab in the back to Jeanie, but at the same time, we all get $500 million. Sounds like a win.
But look at the Walton family.
Yeah.
The 4 siblings, the 4 children, they all get along great. And
Wow.
some of them are worth $20 billion, others of them are worth $60 billion because they've got more involved in the company.
Yeah.
But you don't see them cutthroating each other.
No, and my take is a little different. We just it deals with the guy we just spent 10 minutes on. Bill Rasmussen built ESPN and walked out with almost nothing. And the company he founded is now 72% owned by Disney. The company Bob Iger ran for the better part of 2 decades. And tonight, Bob Iger is trying to buy the last 18% of the Los Angeles Lakers out from under a woman whose father bought that team in 1979 and whose family has held it ever since. It's not a conspiracy. It's just what the top of American sports looks like right now with the kind of people that are in power. It seems like it's a little incestuous because it does involve all the same people. Now, I'm not going to pretend Jeanie Buss is a folk hero by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
She fired her own siblings from the family business 3 weeks after a sale.
She knows how to use a sledgehammer.
She drove, absolutely. That's in the record. All of that's in the record. And if you're one of those 5, I understand exactly why you want out and why you take that check. But here's the thing I keep landing on. Every party in this story has counsel. Every single one of them. Leverage and a reported valuation.
They all got separate lawyers.
That's correct.
There's
exactly one group with no seat and no vote, and it's the people who've been buying tickets since showtime.
Yeah.
The Board of Governors is going to meet September 15th. Craig, I don't know what they're going to do, but I would not be surprised if any vote to approve might be held up because of this litigious nature of this family.
Or they could be tired of her.
They could. They could be very happy to get rid of her.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. It was just amazing how it's announced it for sale, and then we get off, and 2 minutes later,
she says, she must have been watching our show.
Yeah,
I think she was watching the show.
This one, yeah.
So watching our show, decided. Anything before we get out of here tonight, Craig?
No, it's just a reminder that we're going to be doing Franklin County football on Friday nights.
Friday night, we will not be there this weekend, but we will be there next weekend when they PRP, I think is who they have.
Yeah, we're going to still do shows when we're not in Franklin County.
Oh yeah,
okay,
absolutely. It'll be a lot of fun. You guys can join.
We'll have highlights too, right?
Oh, we'll definitely have highlights.
Yeah.
Okay. Emma actually just told me, my daughter Emma, who is a great videographer and editor, she just let me know that she'll be working the games, filming and editing those as well. So that we will have that lead in as well as our.
For us?
For us. Well, for the team, but.
For the team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's my kid. She has to, right? It's like part of the contract.
She's an adult now.
Well, she is. She likes Sunday dinners though. So.
Yeah. Okay.
if there's nothing else, we have had a great show. We will be here tomorrow night. We appreciate all of you all for watching us. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you all anything. It helps us be seen by the algorithms a little bit more. Every time you see the show, make sure you like it. Even if you've done that all the time, make sure you are subscribed and click that notification bell every time so that you can be with us just before you can get notified just before we go on the air. And that's the most important thing.
Yep.
But until next time, make sure that you guys stay informed, stay sharp, and stay above the noise. Talk to you guys later. Enjoy those returns tonight. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. See you later.
Go on and do your thing, Kyle. We'll just call it right here, okay? You gotta get on the road to your business.
All right. Peace out. See you guys.
See ya.